This is Louise Chalip, and I welcome you to this Regional Council, Virtual Regional Council. Our guest is Roberta Goodman, Esquire from the Pace Women's Justice Center. And Roberta is a part-time senior staff attorney in the Elder Justice Unit from the Pace Women's Justice Center. She advocates and educates on behalf of elder abuse victims in a broad range of matters, and they include financial exploitation, family court orders of protection for incidents involving domestic abuse, voluntary guardianships, and negotiation of legal resolutions involving abusive living situations. In addition, she's a member of the Westchester County Abuse Multidisciplinary Team, the Westchester Mental Health Geriatric Care Collaborative, the New York State and Westchester County Bar Associations, Trust and Estates, and Elder Law sections, and she is the former president and founding member of the New York City chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. Jennifer Schwartz Crawford is on with us, and she's going to be recording this. So if you're listening to the recording, I welcome you, and I'm going to turn the program over to Roberta now.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you, Jennifer, for your technical assistance here. So I'm pleased to join the Regional Council. I've had the privilege of doing this in the past, and I thank you for allowing me to come back to this meeting to give you an overview once again of the Women's Justice Center work and what we're doing now, how things may have changed since we began the pandemic in March of 2020, and what types of services we're providing now and how we're delivering those services. So the Pace Women's Justice Center provides free civil legal services to residents of Westchester and Putnam counties. And we have several different units within our center that address different areas. I guess the most famous one is our helpline, which is a telephone staffed by volunteer attorneys, and it is not a hotline, it's a helpline. So during business hours, Monday through Friday, you can call and speak with an attorney who will provide you with information and perhaps guidance, not legal services, because it's very different to provide a legal service during a phone call when not all information is shared. And depending upon what your issue is, and it really doesn't matter where you're located, to be able to call our helpline. If appropriate, the caller will be directed to one of the units within the Pace Women's Justice Center, and if not, will be given contact information for organizations that are better suited to the purpose of the phone call. I had provided Jennifer with the phone numbers of some of the units of our center, and so she will put them on the chat. And I don't know if it will survive the recording. If not, we can always send an email out with the telephone numbers.
Roberta, when we put this up on our website, we'll put your name, and then I'll put all of those phone numbers right in the description of the video.
Terrific. I also provided some bilingual flyers that go into greater detail about the programs from the Women's Justice Center, and they can be attached to the email or on the website. And if someone has interest in learning a little bit more, they can access the flyers. So we also have a walk-in clinic, and the words walk-in became virtual in March of 2020, but I'm pleased to report that we have a hybrid model right now. So we are seeing people in person as well as virtually. Walk-in doesn't mean that you can't make an appointment in advance. And the location of our walk-in clinic is in our offices, which is on the School campus of the Elisabeth Haub School of Law, formerly known as Pace Law School. At the walk-in clinic, you will get a 1-hour consultation with an attorney, and then you can either have your matter resolved because you've gotten the information that you need, or you might be directed to another resource that could address your problem. The attorneys who, by the way, answer the phone at the Women's Justice Center and who see people in the walk-in clinic, as well as some attorneys in the family law unit and in our family court legal program, are bilingual. Not everyone, but we do have bilingual, and we also have the ability to use a translation service so that if someone does not have English as their first language, we are still able to assist them. Calls to the helpline and the walk-in clinic are also feeders to the other units within our office. The family law unit may get some referrals. So the family law unit is designed to give preference to lower income individuals who are victims of domestic violence. And they will assist them with getting a divorce. Perhaps there's a custody issue or spousal support issue, as well as an order of protection. There's no age limit for people who are seeking services from the family law unit. If someone has resources or income that is above what our guidelines, and we don't have hard and fast guidelines, but what our guidelines can serve, and they have not experienced domestic violence, then we have a panel of private attorneys. They're known as the Moderate Means Panel. And these attorneys have agreed to work at a significantly reduced fee structure in order to assist people that are referred from the Pace Women's Justice Center. They participate in training from our office and are highly regarded in their field. So it's a terrific service that the Women's Justice Center has created to partner with members in the private community. We also have an uncontested divorce unit. So if someone is looking to obtain a divorce and there is not going to be a contest in this matter, then we have attorneys that can facilitate that, and working with paralegals can assist people who are looking to get separated and divorced. And I should mention that although our name has Pace Women's in it, we do assist men as well. We just always make sure that the person that we are assisting, that the party who is the adversary is not someone who has contacted us before. And we have had many members of the other gender calling and receiving services from our office these past few months. The Be Prepared unit also gets referrals from the helpline and the walk-in clinic. And that unit has been designed to assist lower income individuals with preparation of uncomplicated wills, advanced health directives, and powers of attorney. If someone has property located outside of New York, we cannot assist. If someone is looking to have a trust created within their will, we cannot assist. Another unit of the center is the Family Court Legal Program, which is actually located in the courthouses. We are currently in White Plains, we are in Yonkers, and we are looking to place an attorney and a paralegal in the newly opened, redesigned New Rochelle Courthouse. Those attorneys are in the courthouse Monday through Friday during normal courthouse hours. It's walk-in. If someone needs an order of protection, all they need to do is to walk into the office and they will be paired with an attorney who can listen to what's going on and help them prepare a petition if they need to get the protection of the court, either to get an order of protection that is a refrain from, which means the person has to refrain from bad behavior, or actually a stay away order. Once they go before the judge, and it is an ex parte proceeding, meaning that it's only the individual who is asking for relief together with a family court attorney. If the court deems that they have met the burden to get a temporary order, then they will get that order, and then the matter will either be referred to the Women's Justice Center for further representation, or if not appropriate, to one of the other legal service providers in the county. We assist victims of sexual assault, and that number, I think I may have provided it to you, Jennifer. I'm not sure that I did. Good. Okay. And then finally, my unit, the Elder Justice Unit. And in my unit, we assist individuals who are residents of the county or Putnam who are aged 60 and above. That's the definition of an older adult in New York State. And they need to have experienced some type of abuse. We define it very broadly. So, typically, what comes to mind, people would think of physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological, sexual assault, self-neglect. And we will help them with consumer issues. Perhaps they're getting a recurring utility bill of a service that they didn't request, or that they tried on a temporary basis and they want it discontinued, or perhaps they gave a trusted, at the time, individual power of attorney over their financial matters, and that person has misused their funds. Or perhaps they're living in a situation where they're feeling unsafe. So, for example, if you have perhaps multi-generations living in one household, and a member of the younger generation is very socially active, and the older generation is nervous about viruses being brought into the home, and the younger individual is not taking any precautions, we would see what we could do to facilitate making it a better living situation. We also still meet with clients virtually, as well as meeting them face to face. We do take precautions. We ask individuals who are going to come to the campus, because it's the requirement of the campus that they be vaccinated or they test negative for COVID before coming in. And, we do masking. We have individuals who will, pre-COVID days, we used to meet in senior centers or libraries or other places because people were nervous about going to the courthouse. They didn't want the potential abuser to know where they were going to seek legal assistance. So being able to come into our office facilitates a safe and comfortable place to have a conversation about what's going on. The sources of referrals to our office are all of you, and we thank you for that, as well as some law enforcement has referred matters to us, senior centers, offices of aging. I personally represent the office in the Westchester County Elder Abuse Multidisciplinary Team, which is a group of about 20 professionals who meet confidentially once a month to discuss very complicated cases involving elder abuse and to try and come up with solutions. So you've got the Department of Community Mental Health, you've got Adult Protective Services, you've got the Department of Senior Programs and Services, you've got the District Attorney's Office, the Attorney General's Office, Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. So you've got a real breadth of professionals sitting around a room discussing cases, and when appropriate, we might bring in law enforcement or officials from various building departments when you might have someone who has created a situation of a building code violation because they're starting to hoard. And that hoarding has created a dangerous situation, not just for the individual whose apartment it's in, but for the neighbors as well. And so I would encourage you, if you come across people who you are struggling to try and figure out a solution for them, reach out to me and I'm happy to discuss it and bring it, perhaps to the multidisciplinary team where we put our heads together and we try to come up with a solution. One of the other units that our office has is our outreach and training, which is what I'm doing today with everyone here. We go across the county and we are able to impart things that we have learned. So we can talk about how to keep yourself safe when you are shopping online. What are the latest scams that are going on? What happens if your identity has been compromised? What steps can you take to protect yourself going forward? We will also talk about different collaborations that we have, because we view our service as a holistic service where the legal remedy is not always the only remedy, and it may not be the remedy. You might have someone who could benefit from some counseling sessions or some services, connecting them with one of the caregivers at Westchester Jewish Community Service or Family Services of Westchester. You have specially trained social workers who are aware of different services and programs within the county that they can connect individuals with. We provide training to professionals, to law enforcement, to community members. And one of the things that we feel is super important is for members of law enforcement to understand that victims of abuse don't always want to report, that there's a lot of shame involved. How could this have happened to me? Or if it's a family member that might have perpetrated the abuse, how did I raise a child that could be doing this to me? And also they're afraid of losing their independence. So they don't want to report, because if they do report, then they're going to lose the ability to manage their own affairs and maybe even have their living situation changed, which, would really be quite upsetting to them. So law enforcement doesn't always respond as we would like. And so we continue to have ongoing conversations, and hopefully we can make it a better county for everyone who's living there. So as I mentioned, our services are free, and we have the ability to be bilingual. What I also want to point out is that if you go to our website, you will find on there a divorce Q&A, which has been very, very helpful for people to get some background information before they have a consultation, as well as members of the public-private partnership in the county have put together an elder law Q&A, and I don't even know what edition we're up to, but it's been updated, and you can find a link to that on our website as well. We participate in the Senior Law Day programs around the county, and we have also participated in various webinars which are recorded. In the past, we would do only in-person presentations, and now they're of a hybrid nature. And one of the benefits of being virtual is that, like today, you can record this and it can be accessed at any time by by members of your coalition. I don't have anything else to add at the moment, but I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And again, I thank you for being a good partner with us and for allowing me the opportunity to talk about the place that I work.
Well, thank you, Roberta. I always learn something new from you, and I appreciate it. I do have a question. Jen, thank you for hosting this and sharing what the information from Roberta. So my question is this, someone who's worked in schools, I know that schools are a mandatory reporting site, but sometimes if you suspect abuse in the house and it's a multi-generational family, it's do you report to child protective services, to the adult protective services? What would be the best way if a school community suspects that there are multiple people being abused in the house?
So in New York, there is not, as you know, there's no mandatory reporting for elder abuse. I believe if someone goes into a doctor's office or a hospital and abuse is suspected of an older person, then yes, they will report it to law enforcement. But in a school where you are concerned about the welfare of a child, there is mandatory reporting, and so Child Protective Services would need to be contacted. If there are concerns about an older adult within the home who may be a victim, there is a way to anonymously, just by calling the intake number of Adult Protective Services, and they have a time frame, a limited window when they will go to investigate whether or not abuse is occurring. They'll typically go with a police officer, mostly for their own safety, because you never know what you're going to encounter when you go someplace. And if Adult Protective Services finds that there is a compromise to the welfare of an older adult, they will try to work with that person to see if they can provide assistance and might refer it to other organizations to supplement what they are able to do.
Thank you. Jen, you want to put the phone number up so people know where to contact?
I certainly can. I have a question too. My question
Okay.
is in the Elder Justice Unit, is there any particular areas or trends that you see coming up with those clients, perhaps since COVID or now that people are a bit out and about again? Any trends that you're seeing there?
So we have seen a lot of abusive housing situations. We all know that housing is extremely challenging in the county, and their moratorium on evictions has expired. So people are facing potential eviction. Legal Services of the Hudson Valley basically lives in the courthouse, assisting people who have been on the receiving end of an eviction notice. So in addition to, part of housing also has to do with endangering the safety of multi-generations living within one household, as I mentioned before. And in addition, what you might find is if an older adult is living in either Section 8 or low-income housing, and the lease provides that they are the sole occupant of the apartment, or one other person is the sole occupant, accompanies them in the apartment. And then perhaps a grandchild moves in, or an adult child moves in because their housing situation had been compromised. That has created a big challenge for the person who's the leaseholder, because on the one hand, you want to protect your family and you don't want them to be on the street, but on the other, you're jeopardizing your own housing. So we have seen that. And we've also seen a number of situations where, through the kindness of people's hearts, they've brought in some individuals into their perhaps private homes on a temporary basis. But when this temporary amount of time has elapsed, that person doesn't want to leave. And it has become increasingly difficult because it's not your standard eviction to get them removed from the home. And then you worry about their safety while they are trying to have this individual removed. And this person who was invited in has taken over maybe some of their checks and credit cards. And, you have to address each one of those items, perhaps putting a freeze on the person's credit reports so that new credit cards can't be opened, and closing down the accounts where unauthorized use took place. Or, if their vehicle was maybe borrowed by an individual and then not returned, and then this individual still has, the owner of the vehicle has the insurance in their name, and then they're worried, well, what if the person gets into an accident? What's going to happen to me? Am I going to, be out of pocket substantial amounts of money because the insurance was in my name? So, we would advise them to report the car taken without their permission. But every time you give advice, you have to weigh the safety factors, because each time you give someone advice, you're thinking, okay, is this going to inflame the situation, or is it going to end it? And it's a challenge to navigate through that, because behavior is not always predictable.
Absolutely. Thank you for that answer.
One of the other things that I would, to Louise's point a little earlier on, she asked about advanced health directives. It might have been before we actually started our conversation today. And people need to reconsider their advanced health directive guidance that they're giving to the agent. When did you last prepare your advanced health directive? How do you feel about what's in there now? When we were dealing with the height of the COVID pandemic, there was a lot of conversation about putting someone on a ventilator. And so many advanced health directives had said, I don't want artificial hydration, respiration, nutrition, et cetera, et cetera. But what if it was only going to be for a temporary period of time to just get you past that danger point? So we have we've helped craft new advanced health directives and had conversations with the principals to encourage them to have conversations with their appointed agents to say, you can't always predict, but if this happens to me, don't pull the plug right away, or introduce this potentially life-saving measure and monitor my situation, and then if after a certain period of time it looks like my prognosis is X, I give you permission to request that it be removed. The other thing that happened during the pandemic was the New York State Legislature passed a new financial durable power of attorney law. And so that came into effect on June 13th of 2021. And so power of attorneys that had been created prior to that date, as long as they were properly executed, would still be valid. But if you were signing a power of attorney that was created before that date and you were signing it on June 14th, then that would no longer be recognized as a statutory power of attorney. So we've done a lot of teaching and education and preparation of new documents for clients.
Good. Okay. Well, anything else, Jen? We have the information up on the screen now.
Thank you.
And oh, thank you for sending it to us. And I want to emphasize what Roberta said. They are bilingual, so you will be able to get help if you are not a speaker of English. And you have translators there, or
So we have bilingual attorneys and paralegals, and we also have the ability to use a translation telephone service that
Oh.
we subscribe to. And
That's
it
great.
has a multitude of languages.
Okay, so I'm sorry we didn't do this program in person. Thinking it over probably would have been better, but for us to be in a group. But I'm very appreciative of your time, Jen, and Roberta of yours. Jen will let us know when this is up on the Care Prep website. As soon as I hear from her, I will send out the information to everybody so they'll be able to benefit from the presentation. And I thank you both, and Roberta particularly, for sharing this information with us.
Thank you again, and I wish everyone a meaningful Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you for being here. It's always good to be with you.